What is going on, guys? AJ Bodie here, back with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to survive a breakup. Now, of course, you'll never win a breakup. You'll never be able to get over a breakup completely, but you can get over it to the point where you actually don't have to worry about thinking about them anymore, and how you can actually just stop. It's like you do think about them, but you don't think about them like how how when you're in a relationship, you guys break up, and then it's like, oh, well, now I'm just thinking about them every day. That type of how. It's just like you don't think about them every day because now you're kind of moved on. Even though you do think about them, you have a lot of love in their heart, in your heart, I mean, and it's just, well, let me get that glow here. It's pretty much done with, and then you're okay. You're gonna be okay. So before we get into the video, I just want to say thanks for, all the support. Just kidding, you guys don't support me at all. So if you could, go ahead and like the video and subscribe and comment in the comment section down below. If you've ever had like a breakup that was so bad that like till this day, you're still not over it. So let's just get into the video right now. So how do you get over a breakup? When you love this person, right? You love this person so much. For a bit of backstory about me, I was in a relationship for a whole year, right? And literally on 365 days later, she breaks up with me, and I'm heartbroken. And I'm literally like, how do you get over somebody that you loved? Because you would talk to this person at nighttime, you would hang out with this person every week. You would share intellectual thoughts with this person. You would tell stories. You would build connections. You would have intimate times. And it's just like it's all gone now. And you rarely ever get the closure that you need or that you want. But I'm here to tell you that it's going to be okay. Like every day that you just put your foot forward, it's going to be okay. You're going to get over it eventually. But here's some of the things that you can do that can kind of speed up the heartbreak or the breakup process. The breakup process is basically from the time you break up to when you should stop missing them in a way that is like crushing, or that you just can't think, which could take 2 months, it could take 2 weeks, it could take a whole year, it could take 2 years. It really just depends on how it's kind of like a skill you build up, right? It really just depends on how well you're equipped to deal with a breakup. I was happy in the home unbroken. So really, when you think about it, right, what is a breakup? A breakup is when two people, it doesn't even have to be a romantic breakup, it could be a platonic one. And I've seen this in many different cases with friends. They literally, like one time there was this person and this other person, let's just call them, I used to work with them, they were coworkers. They went to Texas together, or Boston, Texas, so to have like some like fun trip together, right? And they got a hotel room. The first girl that was younger was like, hey, let's go out at 6 a.m. And then the second girl was like, no, I don't want to, I'm sleeping, right? And they really just weren't, they were like the best of friends, right? They hung out till like 2 a.m. in the morning. They would go out like every single night. They would do everything together. But fast forward like maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, the first girl that was like, let's go out at 6 a.m. to the beach, she texted her this long paragraph about how like, hey, everything's great and all, but I don't think I think we should, like, I don't know, she basically told her like, hey, we're breaking up. And like, again, that's completely platonical. But sometimes those types of friendships just die out. Even though they were so great together and they were so fun. And literally, the first girl she came up to me and she was like, I sent this to her, and is it like too is it too harsh? And I was like, well, why don't you just go in person and do it? She was like, no, I can't. I feel like if I do that, I'm gonna cry. And I was like, oh, it's that bad. Okay. So most of we have two people here, right? Person A is the avoidant person, and person B is the anxious person. And usually the avoidant breaks up with the anxious person after the anxious person kind of fails to regulate the avoidant person's emotions, because unfortunately the avoidant person can't regulate their emotions properly, and they've learned that from years and years and years of childhood trauma. So what usually happens is an avoidant will just break up with the anxious person. You could have two anxious people, you could have two avoidants, it doesn't matter. But in this case, I believe it was the avoidant person that broke up with the anxious person. And the anxious person pretended to be an avoidant, right? And maybe like 4 or 6 months later, she didn't text her at all. Like as soon as the first girl texted the other girl like, "Hey, we're done," right? She didn't text her back at all. She just went ghost. And then like 6 months later, 4 or 6 months later, she texts her and she's like, "Hey, I just want to say like we had like the best times together. I really missed that. I missed the connection that we had, stuff like that." And I'm like, "Damn, that really sucks." I'm like, "Well, so why don't you reconcile with her?" She's like, "No, because her the anxious person got broken up with by her boyfriend, and she doesn't want to be the avoidant person doesn't want to be used anymore, so she didn't reply at all. She just said, no, I'm not doing it. um, and that was it. And that's basically how some breakups just work, you know. And again, to get back to my breakup, um, my ex was planning on leaving the relationship about a month or two before the breakup. She was just emotionally checking out so she could leave without getting that hurt that badly, right? And me as the anxious attachment, we were both anxious attachment, but she had disorganized attachment, which is basically she's a combination of anxious and avoidant attachment. I have anxious attachment, but I pretend to be an avoidant. Um, so as soon as I triggered her fearful avoidantness, right, she checked out. And I believe there was a certain period of time when I did trigger it. It was around, I believe, Valentine's Day. I sent her a picture I thought that was a harmless picture, right? But to her, it really just, it triggered her nervous system. And she literally on Valentine's Day sent me, and this was the first breakup that I didn't even know was probably a breakup, and she was probably mentally preparing. Like we still hung out and everything, we still fucked and everything, but um, she was like, "I hope you find what you're looking for. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope some blah 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 whatever." And I was like, "Is she like, what is she trying to say, you know?" And I just said, I am finding what I'm looking for, but it's behind a cage. And I was basically telling her like, hey, you need to like communicate with me. And we just didn't. We just didn't communicate. She avoided the whole conversation. She never accused me of cheating or anything like that. And I never cheated. I would never cheat on her. I would never cheat on any woman for that matter, because it's just not worth it. I will say this: I will sleep with multiple women if we're not committed. in a committed relationship. But with this woman specifically, I would never cheat on her. I've had thoughts of doing so, but those are just thoughts, and I would never do it. There was this time where I was very lonely, and I invited a girl to hang out with me, right? And I was just like halfway through the date. It wasn't even a date really, but I was just like, hey, come hang out with me. She was like, okay. Halfway through the date, I was thinking, oh shit, I love my ex. And I need, or at the time girlfriend, I need to not think these thoughts and I need to stay faithful to her, right? So that's exactly what I do. You know, I don't continue. I never really flirted with the girl that I was hanging out with. I never did none of that, right? So I completely cut that shit off. And let me tell you something right now. I would never cheat on any woman that I'm in a committed relationship with. And though we didn't technically establish boundaries because she's an avoidant, she doesn't do that, I still wouldn't have cheated on her ever. I would never cheat on her. Okay? I don't think that she cheated on me either, but I'm not sure. You know, you never know. Anyway, on the week of Valentine's after that, I gave her some flowers. She looked like she got dead eyes, you know, like she did not care whatsoever. And I was just like, okay, well, something's up definitely. She definitely doesn't want to have affection from me anymore. And I could tell that something was up, but I just didn't say anything because I was afraid. So I avoided the situation because, or I avoided the talk because if you bring that up when she didn't bring it up first, then it's gonna seem like you were cheating. So it's like, don't even bring it up at all. So I didn't. And then like 2 months later, she seemed like she was getting distant, but she always gets distant, right? So 2 months later down the line, she's like, our last date was a hotel date, and she seemed fine. She seemed completely fine. And then she stopped after the hotel date. We were texting, and then she just randomly stopped replying. I said, okay. Maybe she's playing a game with me. Okay, I'm not gonna text her. If she's not gonna reply to my text, I'm just not gonna text her. So then she's like, hey, a week later, or like 4 or 5 days later, she's like, we need to talk or something. And then she tries to break up with me. I believe she's like, when are you free next? And then she just breaks up with me. Or she tries to. And then I convince her not to temporarily. And then I don't talk to her for like another like 4 or 5 days after I convince her not to break up with me. And then she's like, hey, I don't think we should hang out on the I don't think that we should hang out on the 23rd. And I was like, what the fuck? And I called her immediately and I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't see a future with you. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. It feels impossible. I'm just like, I already tried to convince her the first time. And I told her I would learn Spanish for her. I told her that I would learn her culture. I told her that I would do things for her. But when she's in that state, it's over. She just thinks everything that you're saying is bullshit, and you can't convince her otherwise. And it's like, okay, well, there's nothing really I can do. If I can't convince you now, then I guess it's over. And she was like, I was like, isn't there like something? This is how the conversation went, basically. Isn't there something like I can do, like, And she was just like, no, no, it just feels impossible. I said, what's your what's your biggest what's your biggest concern? Like your number one, just the biggest one. She was like, my family. It just, if you would never fit in. And I was like, okay, that's a load of shit. But, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I was gonna keep on trying to convince her, and then I was just like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I can't really change your mind. And then we talked and talked. I was like, I could come over there, and she was like, no. And then she made up some lie where she had to drive some friend into like a doctor's appointment in the morning, and I was like, okay. I was like, can you do me one last favor though? She was like, what? And I was like, can you see me one last time on the 23rd? And then she was like, I don't think that's going to change my mind. And then I was like, I know, but can you just do me that favor? She was like, you're not going to kill me? And I was like, I might. And then she was like, okay, what time? And it seems like she was going to go through with it. And I was like, 12 p.m. So then we hang up. I think about it for like 5 minutes. And then I leave her a voice message. And the voice message goes something like, hey, don't worry about the 23rd. I hope you find happiness, or I hope you can find someone that you can, I hope you find what you're looking for, and I hope you can find someone that you can let into your family. I got a box of Mofo Sands here, but don't worry about that. Something, something, I love you, bye, name. I hang up. And then she sends me like this long text about how, you know, she'll never forget me. You know, she will always remember this time in her life. I don't know why. She was like, I don't know why you would want someone like me. And then she was like, I love you, bye. And as soon as she sent that, let me tell you, she sent it like 5 minutes after the voice message. I cried. I cried so hard. Harder than I have in a long time. Like I actually knew that it was over. Because if I didn't fight for it, she wasn't going to. If I let her go, she would be gone. And that's exactly what I did. And now she's gone. So I cried so hard. I took out a bunch of her pictures that I have of her. And I was just looking at them. I was looking at all of them and I was crying and I was like, oh, why would you do this? How could you do this to me? Why God, why? You know? And I was thinking like, this is so sad, you know, this can't be happening. Why is this happening? I was just crying, just bawling my eyes out. And I record myself doing that just to like look back on it, on how pathetic I am, right? And like, look at you, just the softest, wettest boy. So like, I'm like looking at that shit, and I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna get over her. And then it's just like, I got metacognition, so I'm like, of course I'm gonna get over her. But like, this is just so sad. And, you know, I'm actually like tapping into my emotions and everything, and I can't remember. I think I just cry. I don't cry myself to sleep. I just go to sleep. The next morning, I have to wake up. This was around like 9 or 10 p.m. and I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to go to work at 4. So I'm just like tired and heartbroken when I get into work. And it's so fucking I'm so fucking miserable, you know? Oh, and another thing too, I had something up against my throat, and I was just like, I can't do this, I can't do this, and it was just like, I'm just gonna press it so hard, but you know, of course, like, I'm not suicidal, so that was just like, I was just toying with myself because I would never, you know, off myself like that. That is the stupidest thing that I would ever do. And of course, I've come close to it 1,000 times, and I've just never had the audacity to actually go, or the nerve to go through with it. For some reason, I always try and do it, but I just never have the nerve. I never have the ability to go through with it. And I know I'm just joking with myself. It's so weird because it's just like, ah, you're not actually gonna do it, pussy. And I don't do it. I never do it. It's so weird. It's like you go to Death Wish or something. I don't. Not really. But, you know, if it happens, great. It's like passive suicidalness. Anyway, so I'm miserable and everything, and that's basically the entire um, 3 months to me, right? I go 10 days later, I go on a date. Don't really like it. So then I wait like 2 months until I fuck a girl. But every single time, every week, I was just crying. I was just crying. I would just cry and cry and cry. And every week that just happened to me. Maybe it was like every 4 or 5 days, I would just cry and cry and cry. And eventually, I just stopped crying. That's one thing that you need to do when you're heartbroken, is cry. Don't cry in front of people. Don't talk to anybody for relationship advice. Don't ask, "Oh, should I text her?" No. What you need to do is go through a process of no contact, which is basically not texting her at all, not calling her, not watching her stories, none of that. Just be done with her. Even though I know that you don't want to be done with her, and they do come back sometimes, so I've heard. She has not returned since, but um, you need to stop all contact with her. Do not watch her stories. Do not wish her a happy birthday. Do not look at your guys' sex tapes or anything like that. You can look at pictures so you can cry. You can look at videos. You can look at, like, that's about it. But at a certain point, after you get all that crying out, and there's a certain point where you're just now your wound is starting to heal. That's when you stop looking at the photos. You stop looking at them, like, if you're looking at them like every day, you stop and you go like every week and then every month, and then you never look at them, and then you delete them. You come back to delete them, you look at them one last time, and then you delete them. Or you store them in a separate folder, and you never look at them again. For weirdos, you know? Weirdos like myself, that's what I do with all my exes. I have all my exes' pictures in a folder titled Homework. No, I'm just kidding. But I do have all my exes' photos, I think. Some of them, I don't know. Some of them I don't care about, you know, just delete them. It's fucking fine. Um, So month one is definitely the toughest. It's just like, oh, she's coming back. She's coming back. She's not coming back. The second month is like, she's coming back, but she might not come back. And you start freaking out. You're like, what the fuck do I do? First weeks, you maybe you're like, oh, you know, she's coming back. This is temporary. It's not. Okay? She's going to be gone for a little while, or forever even. So month 1 through 3, you're going to definitely be crying, wishing for her to come back, thinking she's going to come back. She doesn't come back. People are going to tell you, if you ask them, that she's not coming back. She's gone, right? And if she's an avoidant, she could come back, but she could come back in 6 to 12 months, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. She'll be thinking about you and never reach out. But I'm telling you right now, you cannot reach out to her when you're like this. Okay? You shouldn't be like this in the first place with her. It's like you should be okay enough without her. If you need her and you're unhappy with your life, or if you need him or her, it doesn't matter. You should be happy without her in your life. Okay? If you're not happy without her and your life is like having problems, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship in the first place. So work on yourself. And a lot of people are like saying that, like, how do you work on yourself? Think of it like this. What can you do to be happier with yourself? What do you hate most about your life right now? Whatever you hate most about your life right now, write it down on a piece of paper. Oh, I don't like my job. Find a new one. If you can't find a new one because you don't have any skills or anything, learn a skill that you can actually apply towards a career. Oh, I want love. Why do you want love? Is it your family? If it's your family and your family fucking sucks, I am truly sorry to hear that. That is terrible. That is a big journey that you're gonna have to go on. That is a big mountain, a big boulder that you're gonna have to learn how to get over. And that is the most lonely thing that you possibly could do. I noticed for guys, they're always so lonely. For women, they're lonely too, but they have a whole support system at the same time. So it's like, we both broke up, what I'm imagining is her having her pet Golem, or her cat, um, her sister, her friends, her brother. Her parents don't know about me. Her whole work staff, stuff like that. And I'm not even sure if there's like another dude, because if there is, I'm cooked. And here's the thing: for a guy, it's different because you're the one doing the pursuing, and when your confidence is no longer available, it's on sabbatical because you got broken up with and your confidence is way down, or you broke up with them and your confidence is way down. Of course, you're not going to be pursuing people. You're going to be hurt. But for women, it's like they get pursued. Oh yeah, I broke up with my boyfriend, and then there's like a line of men. Sometimes there's not, but when a woman gets broken up with, she's very emotional and she just wants to fuck. She just wants to be glazed to kingdom come. She just goes through men like left and right. But then she starts to realize that that wasn't such a good idea. And I also realized that too, because I've went on like a few dates, let's just say, and it was not a good idea to do. And I just felt horrible because none of them were actually like her. And then finally, 2 months later, I sleep with somebody, and I still feel a bit of regret. Like this is wrong. I don't want to do this, but you have to move on. So these month 1 through 6 is the hardest for a dumpy, which is basically the person who got dumped. It's the hardest fucking months. You're gonna have to go through that shit, and it's gonna be fucking crazy. It's gonna be fucking sad. You're gonna be fucking suicidal. You're not gonna want to live. So what I recommend you do is cry out your emotions and stay busy. Go to the gym, learn a new skill, try out some new hobbies. I know none of it's gonna actually be interesting because you're sick to your stomach. You can go on dates. You should go on dates, but don't sleep with anybody. Don't hook up with anybody unless you actually like this person. Now, I know I'm still going through it, but after month 6 or 7, you're gonna kind of, you might just meet somebody randomly after you stop trying. It's weird how this works because you'll meet somebody that your heart's open to, and you'll start to love them better than you loved your ex. And that's so weird when you think about it, because like 6 months ago you were like swearing up and down that she was the one for you. Your ex was the most beautifulest, most um, interesting, most, she was right for you. But now it's like, well, this new girl I kind of like better than my ex. And then you get with this new girl. Or you don't, and it's okay, but you moved on. You're starting to move on. And around like month 7 or 8, usually they reach out to you for some unknown reason. And they might not. They may take a lot longer. They may have already reached out. You guys may have already reached out, communicated, and it went nowhere. You guys could be back together by now. But usually the way the timeline goes, month 1, if you stay in no contact. Month 1, nothing. Month 2, nothing. Month 3, her relief starts to wear off and she's like, why am I feeling so bad now? Month 4, she's like, whoa, you know, I'm kind of curious, like, what's up with him? Like, what is he doing? You know, like, he hasn't talked to me in 4 months. He's okay with this. Like, month 5, she's like, oh, I keep thinking about him. I don't know. Month 6, she's like, is he okay? I don't know. Should I have left him like that? I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake. Month 7, she's like, I don't know. I can't. I'm thinking about him like every day. And month 8, she's just like, it's now or never. It's now or never. And she either reaches out to you or she doesn't. And then, or she could wait a lot longer. Because let's just say her fearful avoidance side, month 1, 2, 3, and then she could be really busy, 4, 5. There's gonna be nothing, and then she starts thinking about you, which could push it to like month like 9, 10, 11, 12. But again, she could never contact you again, and you have to be okay with that. And the way you do that is you just let time go by, honestly. That's the only way. And I know it fucking hurts to hear. I know you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I miss her. You know, I miss her too. It's okay though. It's okay though. Because you're going to find other people. But right now, it's important to get a physique that you actually like, right? You need to looks max. You need to find a new job. You need to work on a new skill that you can actually apply to that new job. You need to start building yourself. You know, you need to start working on everything about you. Look at how terrible my physique looks. I need to work harder in the gym. Anyways, that's some of the stuff that you need to do when it comes to breakups. And eventually you'll start to move on. And usually after like a year, you're moved on. But if you're not, I can't help you with that. You're just gonna have to take longer. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you think this video is helpful, go ahead and give it a fat like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.